What's going on, everybody? It's your old pal Jamie here from Sharon at Sea. You know, every time I go online, I'm hearing all about new things that have to do with cruising. I mean, there are new private islands being built and constructed. There's new and different activities on the ship, new technology, roller coasters, go-karts, sky rides, the whole 9 yards. But there's one thing that seems to have stayed the same on the cruise, and even to this day, it's still the most popular spot. That's right, you guessed it. Today we're here to talk a little bit about cruise ship casinos. Hey, really quick, if you're into cruise-oriented content on YouTube, we'd love for you to consider hitting that subscribe button so you're always aware of when we have new content coming out. So whenever we do our live show where we talk to other people about cruising, the topic always comes up: cruise ship casinos. Lots of folks have a lot of questions about cruise ship casinos. What to expect, what they're going to encounter, how does it work compared to what they're used to on land. So today let's touch on a few topics, see if we can't answer some of those questions and clear things up to see if a cruise ship casino is a place that you want to spend a little time on your next cruise. You know, the origins of the cruise ship casino go back to the late 1800s, early 1900s. As riverboats that were traveling up and down the Mississippi became known for offering one form of gambling or another. Usually it was card games. In the beginning there were early versions of slot type machines and stuff like that. As gambling laws were passed and became more strict against gambling, ships found that they were able to go a few miles offshore, get into international waters and offer gambling to people. Once they hit 3 miles offshore, it was then considered to be in international waters. Now I believe it's 12 miles. But that was how they could circumvent the system and get away from all the strict laws and policies against gambling on land. Now, as more boats began offering leisure travel, the casinos became more prevalent, and now they become staples on what we know as the traditional cruise ship. Now, almost every cruise ship you're going to find today has a casino on it. It's one of the most popular spots on the cruise ship. But there are a few ships that still do not. If you are a fan of Disney and Disney Cruise Lines, you will not find a casino on those ships. Disney has made the choice not to have casinos on the 4 of their cruise ships. Their new ship, the Wish, probably will not have one either. That's just how they roll, and that's what they prefer to do. Another ship that you won't find a casino on is the Norwegian Cruise Line's Pride of America. It's virtually the only cruise ship out there that is registered to the United States as opposed to a foreign country. It does most of its traveling in Hawaii, to and from Hawaiian Islands, and due to Hawaii's very strict policies and laws against gambling, that ship does not offer a casino. But pretty much every other ship you get on will have a casino with Las Vegas style gambling, and you'll be able to do all the gambling that your heart desires. Now, a lot of people ask, how old do you have to be to gamble on a cruise ship? You know, because it is out in international waters all the time. Well, most cruise lines require folks in the casino to be 18 years of age or older. But there are a few exceptions. If you're on a celebrity ship or Royal Caribbean ship and you're doing an Alaskan cruise, you're going to have to be 21 to go in the casino. If you're on MSC Cruise Lines and you're doing a Caribbean cruise, they're going to require you to be 21 as well. Princess Cruise Lines will also require you to be 21 years of age or older, unless of course you're doing a European cruise, maybe out of Asia or the UK, where they may have some different rules. But across the board, 18 is the usual rule, but you still do have to be 21 or older to drink in the casinos. Now, what if you don't know how to gamble, or gambling's new to you? Well, one great thing about gambling or the casinos on the cruise ship is that usually the folks there are more recreational gamblers. They're there to have fun. It's part of their cruise experience. Maybe later in the evening the hardcore gamblers come out, unless of course you're on a particular cruise that is specializing in gambling, a premier casino type of cruise. But usually most of the folks are just there to have a good time. Cruise ships will actually offer lessons. As a matter of fact, on a cruise ship, on a Carnival cruise ship, is where I learned to play craps, a game I really enjoy in the casino. And that was many years ago, but to this day, some of the most fun I've had just hanging out on the cruise ship is at a craps table, cheering things on with about 8 or 10 other folks, and waiting for somebody to roll the point as the table erupts in joy. Now, there are a lot of questions about the laws and the rules and who regulates the casinos on the cruise ships. You know, ultimately the cruise line and the ship is responsible for what goes on there. But in most cases, regulations are set based on where the cruise ship is registered, and normally, I mentioned earlier, that is in a foreign country. When the ship is docked in port or near the vicinity of land, at that time then it follows the rule and regulations of that coastline. Which is why if you're on a cruise that begins or ends in North America out of any cruise port that you might be familiar with, that cruise ship is going to follow the federal laws and regulations of the United States. And even though it's going to enter international waters once it leaves North America, it's still going to continue to follow those same rules and regulations. If you are cruising out of Europe or another country, do a little research if you're looking for any rules, regulations, or things that might affect your time in that casino. And as usual, once a cruise ship enters the port or docks out of port, it's going to cease gambling activities until it's back out at sea again. Although there is a little interesting fact that has to do with that. There are a few cruise ports out there where, because of the local laws being so lenient and open to gambling, a cruise ship could technically stay open or keep their casino open while they are in port. Now that happened to us when we were in Grand Turk. We were rolling around the ship on a port day, back on the ship a little early, and noticed that folks were at the slot machines in the casinos and they were gambling. Well, we came to find out that in Grand Turk, because the laws of the area are so lenient, technically the cruise ship can open up its casino. Usually it chooses not to unless it is a premier cruise or a gambling oriented cruise with a lot of heavy gamblers on board for that particular stop. So there will be rare occasions where a casino may still be open and active while the ship's in port, but normally that won't happen. They will shut down whenever they dock. Another thing you might hear a lot of is if people are not smokers, they are not fans of going to the casino. The casino is still one of the only places on the cruise ship where you can smoke in an open area. Now, if you demand a cruise line where you can gamble and have no smoke at all around you, then Celebrity Cruise Line might be the place for you. They are one of the only cruise lines that forbids smoking in the casino. Now, on the flip side, international cruises, if you're leaving from Asia, pretty much every cruise line will allow you to smoke. And if you're leaving from Australia or the UK, smoking usually is going to be banned in the casino. And another cruise line, Norwegian Cruise Line, has a pretty interesting policy. Their policy states that only active players can smoke in the casino. So in Norwegian, technically, if you're just going into the casino to fire up a butt, they could ask you to leave if you're not actively playing one of the games. Now also, in most cases, the casinos will have a casino bar either in there or adjacent to the casino, and that will be a very, very popular place for folks to go and smoke as well. And whether it's cigarettes, cigars, pipes, normally if you're allowed to smoke, any of those methods can be used. But at the end of the day, the reality is that if you're in the casino, there's a good chance you're going to come away with a little bit of cigarette smoke on you. I guess that's the price you pay to gamble on the cruise ship. Then of course there's drinking in the casino. Now on land, you're used to going to a casino and while you're gambling, getting free drinks. Of course, the casino wants to get you loosened up a little bit so you spend a little more money and possibly make a couple of bad decisions. Well, on the cruise ship, they'll offer drinking in the casino too, although it is not included. They will not give you free drinks. You will have to pay as you go. Now, there are a few exceptions to that. There is one cruise line, I believe, called Crystal Cruise Line that does offer complimentary drinks to anyone gambling. Now, the cruise lines will offer promotions and programs that might get you free drinks. For instance, on Carnival, if you spend a certain amount of money or you gamble a certain amount of time, you accumulate points. And once you reach a certain point level, then they will offer you something called Drinks on Us, where anytime that you are gambling in the casino, you will get complimentary drinks. And other cruise lines have similar programs as well, like Royal Caribbean, Norwegian, and other cruise lines like that. Now, of course, there can also be big spenders on board as well, and the casino knows about those folks, and they may offer them free drinks just to entice them to spend a little more time in the casino. Once again, get loosened up a little, spend a little extra money at the table. They try to make it as enjoyable for those folks as possible so they never leave the casino. Now, if you plan on spending time in the casino, one thing that you might want to do is make sure that you join that cruise line's Casino Players Club. Virtually every cruise line has their own certain version of that. Carnival has the Ocean Players Club. Royal Caribbean has the Royale Club, I believe is what it's called, something like that. And when you're part of those communities, you are a little more prone to getting offers, comps, and things like that when you're on the cruise ship. You know, just like Las Vegas might give you comps to rooms, buffets, things of that nature, cruise ships can do something similar. They can offer you discounts, special cruises, even free cruises in some cases. And it's all done with the hopes that gamblers will come back on board and spend their money. As a matter of fact, we recently had a casino offer for a 3-day cruise that we took on the Carnival Inspiration. Now there's always different offers that you might get if you're a regular cruiser or you have some loyalty with a cruise line. Sometimes it's some onboard credit, sometimes it's a reduced deposit and things like that. In this case, the offer was to come on board. It was a premier cruise, meaning it was offered to folks that enjoyed gambling and might have spent a little time gambling. You didn't have to be a big spender, just someone they knew had a propensity for heading down to the casino and dropping a few dollars. And part of that deal was going to be some free admission to some of the tournaments on board, a slot tournament, blackjack tournament, poker tournament, as well as it did offer a drinks on us program where anytime we were in the casino, we could order a drink and it would be comped by the casino. So that was pretty cool. And that's something that we got offered, again, not because we're big spenders in the casino, but more for our loyalty to the cruise line. Now, one way the cruise line keeps track of how much gambling you're going to do is basically every time you go to, let's say, a table game, you're going to go ahead and throw down your Sea Pass or your Sail and Sign card when you get those chips. Now, at that time, the word is that what they'll do, they don't necessarily track the money as much as the time that you spend gambling, but those will be factors as far as establishing whether someone is a bigger or smaller fish in the gambling world. When you use a slot machine, usually you're going to go ahead and put in your Sea Pass or your Sail and Sign card to establish a player bank. So that's another way that they can track points, how much money you've spent, and things like that. Now, another question we get a lot is, do you need cash on the cruise ship? Well, if you're going to be in the casino, cash will come in handy. Now, you can go in with cash, put money down on the table, and buy yourself chips. If you don't have any cash and you go to a slot machine, you can sit down, put in your Sail card or your Sea Pass card, your Sail and Sign, and establish a player bank, and they will charge your account for the money that you use. You can also put cash directly into the machines. The cruise ships will have ATMs if you want to get cash, but I'll tell you what, there's usually a charge not only by your bank but by the ATM. And usually people will say the cheapest way to go is just to step up to a table game and buy chips using your Sail and Sign card. When you do that, they will hit you with about a 3% charge. So if you get $100 worth of chips, you're going to pay $103. But that can definitely be less than what the ATM might charge you to take cash out to buy those same chips. Now, how much does it cost to gamble on the ship? Well, that's up to you, but usually the table games are going to have minimums of $5 to $10. If you're a little bit bigger gambler, there will be a certain area, maybe like a high roller area, where you can spend a little more. But it's really up to you how much money you want to spend in the casino. But I will tell you, if you're a serious gambler, and the serious gamblers know that, they're going to look for an area where there's not a lot of rookies, and usually it's a higher minimum. That usually weeds out the recreational gamblers from the serious gamblers. Now, I've heard people say you can't really win any money on the cruise ship. Well, I'm here to tell you that you can. Hey, Sharon and I like to go out and gamble a little bit. We're definitely of the recreational type. But listen, we've lost and we've won while we're on cruises. We haven't hit any major jackpots or anything like that. And as far as we're concerned, if we can break even on a cruise in the casino, that's considered a victory. And as usual, there are games like maybe blackjack that have better odds versus roulette that don't. Now, speaking of better odds, one thing you will notice about the cruise ships on the casinos that are a little different from land-based casinos, the table games themselves may have some different odds set up. So before you gamble, make sure you look into that. The craps table might have different odds based on numbers you hit. The blackjack table might pay like 6 to 5 for a blackjack versus the traditional 3 to 2 for the blackjack. That may not sound like a big deal to most folks, but it's the difference between betting 10 and winning 12, or betting 10 and winning $15. So table games will be pretty normal with a few differences in the odds, but when it comes to slot machines on the cruise ship, that's where you may see a little bit of a difference as far as payouts go. On the average, traditional slot machines in land-based casinos are going to pay out at 90% or higher, usually closer to 95%. What that means is that based on all the average wagering, the slot machine will pay out 95% of the money that it takes in, keeping ultimately about 5% for the house. Now, that doesn't mean you're always going to win if you sit down and gamble, but that's an overtime average amount. Now, the word is on cruise ships, and this is something that's pretty tricky because they don't post these odds or these payout amounts, but most people who are into gambling and serious about it say that the cruise ship pays out at around 80%, meaning 80% of the average amount wagered will be paid back, and the cruise ship casino will keep 20% of what comes in. That's a pretty big difference right there. And that's why most people will say that cruise ship slots can be a little bit tighter than what you'll find on land. So keep that in mind if you're a big slot player. Now, speaking of slots, one of the most fun things you can do in a cruise ship casino is get involved in the tournaments that they have. They'll have slot tournaments, blackjack tournaments, they'll have poker tournaments as well, but the slot tournaments are always exciting and grab a lot of attention. So one thing to definitely check out on a cruise is going to be a slot tournament. They're a lot of fun for the people playing as well as the people watching. One of the downsides to winning big in the casino on the cruise ship is if you do, you're still going to have to pay taxes just like in a land-based casino. If you win one large lump sum like on a slot pull, the casino will usually give you the paperwork to fill out so that you can claim taxes on that winning amount, and sometimes they'll allow you to even have a percentage kept right then and there to put towards taxes. Now when you play table games, it's a little bit trickier because you're doing smaller amounts over and over again. It's harder to keep track of the winnings, and any money you win, you're really going to be responsible yourself for claiming that for your taxes. But yes, technically at the end of the day, if you win money on a cruise ship, usually over $1,200, you are responsible to claim that for taxes. So keep that in mind. Now finally, like most things on a cruise ship, the casino is there for the cruise line to make money. So make sure if you're going to go on a cruise and gamble, whether you're serious about it, whether you're a recreational gambler, make sure that you stay within your means. I always warn people, don't drink too much and then go out and gamble. That's the worst thing you can do. Again, your senses are down, you're bound to make some bad decisions, and it's so easy to throw your sales card down on the table and get more money out. You can get yourself in a whole lot of trouble. Not only with your spouse who you might be with at the time, but keep in mind at the end of that cruise, you're gonna have to pay your bill. And you don't wanna go down to the customer service desk to settle out only to find out that all of your money's gone towards gambling and you don't have any money to pay for the rest of your cruise. But remember, stay within your means, go into the casino with a set amount that you can lose and still feel okay about. Like I said earlier, if Sharon and I can break even or just be a little bit in the hole at the end of the cruise, we consider that a victory. And anything on the plus side is a huge win. So hey, if you enjoy gambling on the cruise ship, if you have any awesome stories you want to share, did you win big? Did you lose big? Let us know in the comments below. Tell us your experience and if you enjoy gambling on your cruise. It's the one thing on a cruise ship that not a lot of people talk about, but I'll tell you what, any time of the day, it's probably the place that'll be packed more than anything else. Next to the Lido deck, you'll find the most people usually hanging out in the casino. Hey, thanks a lot for watching. We sure appreciate it. Again, make sure before you check out of the video, hit the subscribe button, hit notifications on so you're always aware of new content coming out. Join us on Facebook at the Sharon@Sea Cruise Crew. And from Sharon, Matthew, and myself, and everyone here at Sharon@Sea, again, thanks for watching and happy cruising.